This is block 2 from topic 4, dealing with percents. You should be on page 107 in your textbook. First problem we're going to look at goes with your problem 1. Said, well, my board starts off the problem. It says Haley received a grade of 88% for math on her progress report. Is this the same thing as earning 221 out of 250 points possible? In other words, what percent of 250 is 221? We're going to be using the animations below to determine if that is the same thing. So in high school grading, they have different percents and different points possible. You add up the two columns to find your percent average. And we have a grading scale back there that has percent averages. So like 100 to a 93% is an A. So it says 250 points represents 100% of the points available so far in Haley's math class. So that's all the points possible in the math class. That's why 100% has 250 points, because that was the total amount of points she could earn. So if she added up all her points, and she had 250, what was her grade? 100%. Okay, but she didn't add up all her points and get 250. She added them all up and she got what? 221. And we're talking about benchmark percents. Benchmark percents is just like your most common percents. Like I taught you tricks with percents yesterday. What percent did we look at on the marker board that was easy to calculate in our head? 10%. And then from 10, we were able to find other common percents. Would 13% be benchmark, common? No, it's kind of a weird number, so it's not like a benchmark percent. So we're going to drag the slider to 50% to find the equivalent number of points. So let's drag this guy. As I'm dragging, the percents are changing. I hit a benchmark percent, 10. 25% is also a benchmark percent. And then I'm at 50. They changed 50% to 1/2 of to multiplication. So to find that, they did half of 250, gave them obviously 125. So we're filling in the rest of our bar on number 1. 10%, we just moved the decimal over 1 from 250, we got 25. To find 25% in my head, I take 50, because 50 is common, right? And I get 125. Then in my head I think, well, 25% is half of 50, so in my head I would take whatever I got here and half it, and I got my 25%. So that's kind of how I calculate it in my head. All right, we need to figure out some more benchmark percents. What's the next one we have to figure out? 75%. Well, what benchmark percents make up 75? A 50 and a 25 adds up to 75, right? So if I added these two, I get 75. So how can I find the number of points she has? Add the two bottom numbers. 125 plus 62.5. Anyone know what I have there?
187.5.
187.5. Let me drag that over and see. 75. I am at. So have I found her percentage yet? How many points did she have?
221.
221. Have I made it to 221 yet? No, I still don't know what that is. So I'm going to drag over. I still don't know what that is because it's a weird number. So I'm calling it X%. And we're going to look at trying to figure out what that would be. Everyone have this filled in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there is a couple different ways to find non-benchmark ones. Benchmark ones, again, is the ones we kind of do in our head. So let's watch this animation. Wrong button. So we're taking X%, replacing it with what?
Multiplication.
Of with multiplication is with an equal sign. So I end up having an equation. This is going along with your number 2 in your book. It's number 2 in your book says what percent of 250 is 221. So I want you to actually write underneath there. It said what percent? We're calling that X. Then of stood for what operation? Multiplication. Of what? 250. Then it says is. What math symbol does is stand for? Equal sign is what? 220. Whoopsies. 221. So I now have a problem I can work. We don't normally like it seen like this. We can rewrite it as 250x equals 221. And we learned in 6th grade how to solve these. How did I go about solving when x was attached to it with multiplication? How did I get x by itself? What operation is x in 250? Multiplication. To get x by itself, you have to do opposite operation.
250 divided by 21.
Backwards. I've got to do opposite operation of what's happening. You said multiplication's happening, right? So I'm going to divide. What I do to one side, I have to do to both. You're writing all of this on your number 2. I'm going to divide by what's attached to my x. 250 is attached. I want it off. So I got it off by opposite operation. Now I have a math problem of 221 divided by 250. 0. How about I do 221 divided by 250? 0.884. I need to change that to a percent. So how many times do I need to move my decimal? 2 times. What direction? Right. Twice. So what percent is this? 88.4%. That was one method. So I could type in, what was the answer?
88.4.
Oh, it's not 4?
Yeah.
Did I write it wrong? Did I write a 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I thought I wrote a 5. Brain fart. And they said I am correct. They show you how to solve it just like I did. That cancels out to a 1. That just 1x is just x. turns to a decimal, they convert the decimal to a percent. Same thing we did. So on number 2, says to solve both an equation and a proportion. This was an equation method. So we're about to do the second method below it, so you're not turning the page. So I'm about to do the second method. Am I gonna get a different answer?
Yes.
No.
Oh, no.
If I'm doing this, working the same problem, but there's multiple ways to work it, should I get different answers? No, I should get the same answer. So I should get 88.4%, right? We already know that. So let's watch the other method, which is proportional way. We flopped our bar around. They took that and wrote it as a proportion from our bar. Where did they get 2.5? They found that by doing 250 to 100, you had to divide by 2.5. So they knew 250 had to change to 100, so they divided by 2.5. So they had to do that to the top. You're writing this for number 2 as well. This is the proportion method. Alright, we're going to practice more with both methods. This is not in your book, so we're just watching up here. And you're going to help me solve. So first, I need to translate this into a math problem. Just like I did. I'm bringing my words down. Of stood for what symbol? Multiplication. Is stood for equal. What number, what do I replace that with? X. So what should I put in my first box here? What's written first? 92, but I have to write it as a decimal. What would 92% be as a decimal? 0.92. Okay. Times or of what?
300.
300 is what number is X? We're super smart. Then when I solve that, I actually have to multiply these two. And 276. Okay, I'll test it. 276. Check. Wonderfully done. We're rocking and rolling. Now they're going to show us how they did it proportionally. And found it. What method do you like better, the equation or the proportion?
Equation.
I do too. Some people like this better though. They know 100 has to be multiplied by 3 to get 300, so they multiply the top by 3. Okay, one other problem. She made a 90% on her English score, which was 414 points. 90% of what number is 414? So how do I translate that?
90 times X, 90.
90?
0.90.
0.90. Do I have to write the zero?
No.
Can I write the zero?
Yes.
Could I write 3 zeros?
No. Yes. Yes.
Does the zeros behind a decimal matter?
No.
I could write a million zeros and it still means the same thing. Of times what number?
X.
X is alright. We've got to solve this one now. Do I have the two numbers on one side of the equal sign? No, so I have to do opposite operation. What's opposite of multiplication?
Division.
Division. And who needs to get kicked out of this side?
X. 9.
We want X by itself, so who are we kicking out?
0.9.
0.9. So I need to divide both sides by 0.9. So I am taking 414 and dividing it by 0.9.
460.
It helps to watch, Colt. And I get
460.
460? Alright, we'll test. It is correct. 90% of what number is 414? We knew it had to be bigger because 90% of the number was 414. The whole part was 460. Let's watch them do the proportional way. Set it up. And if it confuses you that way, you can do the algebraic way. Not a problem. All right, let's see where we are at now. Well, so this is going with your problem 3, right, Sway? And it says Curtis has sold 13 boxes out of 40 boxes he has to sell. He has sold blank of his popcorn. And my drop-down box has these options. So I need to go about figuring this out. So I need to first go to someone's gonna have to help me with the problem. Said Curtis, what? Sold
13 boxes.
13 boxes out of how many total boxes?
40.
40 total boxes. I want to know a percent. I don't really know how to set this up as an equation, so I'm going to set it up proportionally. A percent is out of how much? 100. Is the whole part on top or the whole part on bottom? Bottom. I need to know what is being multiplied by to get 100. How do I find that magic number?
You divide 100 by 40.
100 by 40,
You get 2.5. Yeah, 2.
and I get 2.5. So my magic number is 2.5. So how do I find my percent?
Multiply 13 times 2.5.
13 times 2.5, and I get 32.5. I need to write that as an answer. This is for your problem 3. You should be showing work. Let's see if that drop-down box has our answer. Does it have our answer?
Yeah.
All right, we'll select that. The next statement says John made 40% of his attempted free throws. He attempted 15 and made blank. So I need to go and work this out. We know, let's get a sticky note. I just thought of this sticky note. Shh. A good sticky note. I don't really know what to title it because I'm off the top of my head here, but let's just title it percents. With percents, there's a generic form that you can set up with a proportion, and that is always part over whole equals percent over 100. And that kind of helps us always set up our proportion. Percent part over whole equals percent over 100. So using that with the the statement I just read, it said John made 40% of his attempted free throws. So if I'm setting up this problem, then I have two fractions. Where do I put that 40%? Where? Where on this setup do I put 40%? Where does it fall here?
On the top, on the right side.
On the top right side. So I'm going to put 40. And my problem always has a number 100 on it. So I can go ahead and fill that part in. Then it says he attempted 15 and made blank. So if he attempted 15, is that his part that he made? Or is that the whole part that he shot?
The whole part that he shot.
So 15 needs to go on the bottom here. Now I can work on solving this. A little trick. Want to know the trick?
It's 40.
I can multiply the numbers that is on a diagonal. See the diagonal?
And then you divide it by this.
And then I divide it by the extra.
6.
Some people call this the high heel method because it makes a high heel shoe. See it? So you multiply the two numbers across, divide by the heel. So I have 15 times 40 divided by 100. And so how many shots did he make?
6.
Hopefully that's an answer. We'll select 6. Then our last statement here. How do you think you say that name?
Me.
Me. They? Me? Mine? Mine. So this chick here bought a shirt that was on sale for $24.50. That price represents 40% of the original shirt. The original was blank. So let's use our setup here again. Obviously, I'm always going to have a 100 right there. And what information did they give us? $24.50 was the sell price or the original price?
Price.
Sell price. So was that part of the price or the whole price?
Part of the price.
It was part of it. So $24.50 goes there. Then they should have given me one other piece of information. 40%. So I'm gonna plug that in where the percents go. And I have a missing number right here. So I could use my trick. Look for my diagonal. Is my diagonal the same as this first problem?
No.
My diagonal this time is here. So these two numbers get what? Multiplied. And
divided.
so now my high heel shoe is upside down.
61.20.
So I'm going to take my calculator. 2450 times 100 divided by what? 40.
It's 61.25.
So what was the original cost of the shirt?
$61.25.
Who said 20 something dollars?
Some human.
All right, hopefully we got all three of them right. I'd hate to have to go back here. That's a pricey shirt.
Very pretty.
All right, we did well. Okay, number 4, you can put an X on. We're not going to talk about number 4. And for the rest of the time, we have some time to work on our more practice 1 through 4. It's not due until next Friday, the 11th, but we should be able to work on it right now. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Peace out, Home Dogs.